Hey, folks, it's Marvin Cash, the host of The Articulate Fly, and we're back with another Casting Angles with Mac Brown. Mac, how are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Marvin?
Just trying to stay out of trouble and adjusting to no more life on the road with fly fishing shows.
Oh, yeah. No, that was fun. That was fun. I'm glad you got to come up there to Lancaster and hang out a few days. And we did a little school up in Wisconsin and wrapped it up in St. Paul at the Great Waters Show. And that was a really fun event, too.
Yeah, I've got one more thing on my calendar, I guess, in about, actually a little bit less than a month. I'm going to go down to Lefty's Tie Fest down in Vero Beach. It's they're bringing that event back, and ASGA is putting it on, and they're having a big fundraiser to support Jack Crevalle research, and a bunch of OGs and young guns and fly fishing are going to be down there, so it should be a good time.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. That'd be a good time. And one thing I really liked about that Great Waters, it had a lot of families show up with kids, and had a lot of the whole family unit. The women were there in big numbers with their husbands and kids, and I think the booth that Lift Hearts ran there for Fly Fishers International, I think he said they ran close to 460 people that 2.5 days, which is incredible.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed. I mean, I've been to several fly fishing shows kind of in the Midwest, and I'm always impressed at how passionate all the people are that are there, even though those are, by kind of what we would consider kind of by East Coast or West Coast standards, smaller regional shows.
Right. Yeah. It's just, he definitely went after, I think, marketing to that audience. And I was just impressed how many in the seminars, like Jason Randall and I both did a bunch of seminars, and I did a lot of casting demos. But when I'd look at the audience during the demos, even, I'm seeing kids like 2nd grade to 5th grade, and the husband and wife standing there. I mean, it was really kind of cool. That was a cool vibe going on for sure.
Yeah, and then of course we get to come home and fish. And you were telling me you've been chasing the spring dry fly hatches up in the park.
Yeah, we got to do that this weekend, which was a lot of fun. And I had a couple of mornings I could go up there, and that was the big opening day, I think, in Cherokee as well. And there's a lot of people calling, asking questions about what they should do up there. And I'm not really sure up there because I mostly go up in the park usually when I'm off. So I know in the park we're still getting pretty good March brown hatches, and we had a really good black caddis hatch, a few betas still going off. And so it was fun. I got to play a lot with some wet fly technique and dry fly technique. It was pretty much all I did on Saturday and Sunday. I didn't really nymph fish at all up there because it's too good up in the middle column.
Yeah, and the great thing, right, I've been watching, is I would tell you folks, the real trick to watch when the fishing is going to really turn on is look at the lows at night, right? And probably, I don't know, in the last week to 10 days, at least here kind of in the Piedmont, the lows have they're significantly warmer, like 15 to 20 degrees warmer. And so, that just means that the water's going to warm up even when the sun's down, and the fish are just going to get a lot more active.
That's right. Yeah, that really made a difference. We had a lot of, I guess people had seen probably on the news about Table Rock down there, the fire there, and we have a big one here in Alarka. And I'm just thankful today. It rained a bunch today, early this morning, so we got probably 2 inches of rain. So hopefully that's going to help put out a lot of these wildfires that are around. And I think it'll help put out Alarka for sure. I don't know how much water fell down towards Greenville, South Carolina, and Green River. But hopefully they got plenty of water too, because these fires grew fast. I mean, it was so dry when I flew back from the show up there at Great Waters. I stayed in Wisconsin for a couple days before I flew back, and the humidity here was like in the 15% for weeks, in 30, 40 mile an hour wind the first few days I was home. So that just made for some really bad fire conditions, which is what happened. We had a lot of Western North Carolina fires there for about a week and a half. So hopefully this rain's really helped put a lot of that out.
Yeah, and and we've got folks, kind of fires are bad, Hurricane Helena's bad, still feeling the impacts of that, and so folks really need to try to make an effort to get to Southwest Virginia, East Tennessee, Western North Carolina to fish and spend some money with their family. But it's funny, we were talking about how busy you are before we started recording. And, one tip I would give folks is, if you want to fish with a guide, and I would say, particularly if you want to fish with a good guide, you need to plan well in advance. Cause, my general experience is that, most good guides are booked pretty full for this season at this point. And so, you need to really kind of get on that if you're thinking about fishing. And I would say probably, for most of the really good guides, you're probably going to have to get on a will call list or maybe plan to fish kind of in the late fall.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's good advice just because, yeah, during that Great Water Show, I know it's opening day of trout seasons is coming this coming week. I mean, always the first Saturday in April for Western Carolina for the state water. And I know last week there was a lot of calls. So I didn't get to talk to them, but that left messages when we were at the Great Water Show, and they're calling at like 8, 9 o'clock at night, wanting a trip the next morning for 3 and 4 boats, and that's just not going to happen because it's too busy. I mean, it's too busy to be calling like literally the night before. So I mean, just a little bit of planning would go a long ways for their experience.
Yeah. And I would also say too that, shops that have deeper benches that can maybe be a little bit more flexible, they don't have those college kids home yet, right? So, they don't have the capacity to call kids that are, home from school and are guiding for the summer to kind of help fill things out. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like everything in life, right, Mac? A little preparation goes a long way.
Yeah, yeah, I think that would be good. That's good advice because we're about to be into it for April and May, and then it starts getting into what we call tourist season here in Western Carolina with the national park and what is it, 13.5 million people a year coming through here. So yeah, if they're trying to do something, of course, a lot of those calls will come in July, August, which is the worst of the 12 months, but they'll call like a lot that time of year just because partly they don't know better. That's the slowest part of the year, but yeah, it'd be good to call earlier and say maybe fall would be a better choice or spring or some other time of year.
Yeah, but if you're going to kind of, roll your own and fish on your own right now, like we said, the water's warming up and really pretty much everything is going to work at this point, right? You got hatches, streamer action is good, and the fish are active, so they'll take the nymph. So it's a really great time of year as fish are starting to put the feed bag on and kind of fatten up through the summer for to get ready for next winter.
That's right. That's really the case with this warmer temperature and warmer water temperature. Like we're in the low 50s pretty much consistently right now. That just makes for a lot better activity, and you can pretty much work on any kind of technique you want this time of year, whether that's wet fly or nymph or dry fly. I mean, it's all fair game this time of year to work on those things because the fish are really active and cooperative.
Yeah, and so as we kind of move into this, I know you've had a school, you're going to have some more schools, and then you may have some openings here and there on your guide calendar. You want to kind of let folks know kind of what's happening on the class front, say maybe the next 2 or 3 months, and then how to reach out and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, sure. The first thing I guess on the agenda is the 2-day school, April 12th, 13th. We could probably take a couple more because I just bring in more instructors for that, but it's actually pretty well full right now. But I could probably take a couple more if I brought in another teacher with that. But the other one is April 23rd, is a 5-day school, and then what we started doing a lot this year is taking the people that only have like the weekend or 2 or 3 days they could do for the weekend, like take off a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and just roll them into the schools that we're already teaching. So then we came up with a different plan for those rather than teach the whole thing over again just for a couple of people to put them in a school that's already rolling was just a better efficiency of scale for what we're doing because it's still the same sermon. And that way they can get into those kind of things for a 2 or 3 day school. And they can find that information at macbrownflyfish.com.
Yeah, and I would say too. So the first class you're having, is that a casting class? Because I know that 5-day school is probably a guide school, right?
Yeah, it's the first one, April 12th and 13th, all advanced line control class for casting. And then, yeah, the other one's a 5-day school, the 23rd. And that's pretty much what's coming up. We'll probably do another one in May, but right now we're not listed May. Because the thing is, we used to list them all beginning of the year, and it's better to list them out a little bit at a time, do the spring dates and do the fall dates. And what happens is if you list them all, then people go all over the spectrum, and then it's it's harder to fill them up if half of them jump into the fall and you're trying to sell spring. It doesn't work out as well. So I haven't even listed the fall yet.
Yeah, and if you have a great guide season and these classes are good, you may be in the Bahamas in the fall and there may not be a school, so people should sign up now, right?
Yeah, that's a very good chance. We might be in the Bahamas. I actually talked to Peter from the Department of Tourism down there the other day, and he's wanting to do a school program. So we might be down there teaching school kids in the fall instead.
Well, there you go. Well, folks, as it's warming up, as I always say, you owe it to yourself to get out there and catch a few. Tight lines, everybody. Tight lines, Mac.
Tight lines, Marvin.